back to Two Poets, the podcast where we talk about cool things, write poetry, and share our thoughts, which may or may not be a good thing.
9 times out of 10, it's not. But we give it our shot, best shot.
We do give it our best shot. Thank you all so much for tuning back in. We've been gone for a little bit, but we are back and super excited to hop into this next episode. We're just going to kick things off right away. Man, it's been about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot's been going on in our lives.
It's been about a month, and in that time, a lot has happened. A lot.
Yeah.
My wife and I have moved.
Yes,
we now live
finally.
in Oklahoma City. Fully, we've made the move, so we're there, and that's fantastic. That's pretty much been our life for the last month, it feels like. So, you almost died.
I did almost die yesterday, or I guess the night before. Yeah, I got food poisoning, and I spent like all night just puking my guts out.
Gross.
And it is the thing I hate most in life. I would much rather have like my fingernails ripped out,
Your legs broken.
I'll take 40 lashes on the back with a whip over having to spend all night puking.
Yeah, dude, that's awful. Okay, you don't have to say it out loud, but where did you get food poisoning from? You don't have to tell them. You can tell me, though.
Actually, it's some frozen burritos.
Oh, like Walmart box burritos or like...
Yeah, so we had a get-together not too long ago. I don't even remember exactly what it was for, but Blake actually brought some frozen burritos over that he ate for dinner and left them here. And so they had thawed out, and then I put them back in the freezer, and they refroze, and I'm sure that was probably the bad idea right there. And so then I ate a couple, and I got food poisoning.
Does he know it was his fault?
I think Lauren told him.
Oh, dude, shame on you.
My friend poisoned me with his frozen burritos, and that was the most violent I've ever heard.
You owe Corey so much right now. You owe him so bad.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, I feel much better today. My whole body is sore, though.
Oh, I bet.
It's just, it was so bad.
Laying on the floor and puking and dry heaving.
I felt like I did a million push-ups or sit-ups, My abs are just like super tight.
That's awful.
Yeah, the worst feeling in the world.
Blake, you should apologize.
But I slept all day yesterday, basically.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
so you got a little R&R out of it.
Yeah, so I didn't get any sleep the night from puking, but then I slept like all day and just watched movies and fell asleep halfway through each movie, then put another movie on, fell asleep halfway through.
Nice. To which Blake would probably say, "You're welcome."
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome. You needed some rest and relaxation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so other than moving, anything else exciting happening?
I am currently in the process of writing my book for the Spaceship Immersive Art Exhibit.
Woohoo!
And I really, really, really need to crunch and finish writing it because it has taken a long time. And I have not dedicated much time into it. So I need to get into that. And Hogan and her partner, Kristen, her business partner, have been working on their plant exhibit for the immersive art.
I've been seeing all their progress. It looks amazing.
It is crazy. And the big one that they're making is like over 6 feet tall. And it's going to be insane. She's put in like so much detail on these plants. And one of them, She probably wouldn't want me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. One of them, she took coffee beans and like by hand, one by one, like glued like hundreds of coffee beans to the base of this plant. It looks amazing. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. So it's going to be really good. We've been working on that, and I've been pouring coffee and just having a good time.
Nice.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I'm sure you're enjoying the city now, and I'm sure you got all that weight off your shoulders of all the driving back and forth, and now you can just kind of stay up there.
Yes. It's really nice to get off work and just go straight home.
Yeah.
And not have to drive for an hour and a half to get home and then turn around and drive right back at 6 in the morning and do it all over again. So,
yeah, I don't know how people do that. Have like hour and a half long commutes.
It's, I actually enjoyed it for the first like 3 weeks. Like it was nice. I missed being away from her, but it was nice because it's just a straight shot and you listen to an audiobook. You have a bunch of time to collect yourself before you go into work. And then when you get off work, by like the 4th week, it was getting pretty old. And I was like, I'm ready to be back to normal. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm glad we're there.
I mean, I guess I would rather have an hour and a half commute of driving from like a small town to another town than an hour and a half commute of being stuck in the same city.
Place, yes.
Like early morning traffic, it takes you an hour and a half to get to the other side of town because traffic's so heavy. That would suck, but I feel like an hour and a half, like from one town to another, commuting is probably much better than bumper to bumper morning traffic.
That would not be fun. That would
that would suck.
Way more stressful than just driving, across like that. But here's an interesting thing for you. We live on Chartel, which is right between the streets Western and Walker. And if I go to work at 7 in the morning, I have to be there at 7:30 or whatever. If I leave at 7 and go down Western, I might make it on time. It took me almost half an hour to get there. If I go down Walker, I'll get there like 15 minutes early.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like the same distance. We're right between the streets, and it's so weird. Like I go one way, I'm so early, and the other way, I'm like barely
Pushing
getting
it.
there.
Wow.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
Do you think it's more stoplights?
I guess. I think Western has more stoplights, but when I go down Walker, I have to go through 3 school zones. So it just is what it is. And so it's so weird.
That is weird. Same distance, just one way.
It's so crazy. But yeah, enough about traffic.
Traffic. Brought to you by Two Poets, the morning traffic commute. All right. Well, oh gosh, excuse me. This coffee is making me burp. We were tasked last episode, so a month ago, with writing a poem about what an iPhone may dream about. And so that's what we wrote about. And I've been excited to share this one because it's silly and a crazy topic. Well, I guess it's no crazier than the duck poem we had to write. But just kidding, Nathan. We loved writing the duck poems.
It was actually a lot of fun.
But this is interesting. Yeah, coming up with like what an iPhone would dream about. Because once again, it's like you could take this so many different ways.
Yeah.
You could be very silly with it. You could be very like just it is kind of with it. Or, you could go sad. You can go dark. You can go like the iPhone's taking over. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go with this poem. So this is going to be fun. I think I should go first because I think you have a surprise for everybody.
Yeah.
So, all right. I brilliantly titled mine, What an iPhone May Dream About.
Oh, dude, that's deep.
I just couldn't think of a title for it. And I was like, I'll just call it What an iPhone May Dream About. Yeah. So, Kristen, this one's for you for suggesting this prompt. So, what an iPhone may dream about. I turn the bedside lamp off, and then with a push of a button, a click sound is heard as the night-filtered light goes dark, and the device I keep with me always is tucked away to recharge and sleep. As I go off to a world of dreams for roughly 6 hours, I am unaware of what my device goes through on that bedside table, alone, face down, stable. Does it dream as well? Maybe it dreams of the comfort of my back pocket where I tuck it away as I go through my day, traveling to and fro and keeping me updated about the world around me. Does it dream of the moments we captured together when we gathered with friends playing games around a table and making videos of funny moments and weird angles? Or does it dream of the happy conversations it got to listen in on as it connected me to my family, wishing it had a family of its own, unknown to me the deep thoughts that lie inside an iPhone 13? Or does it dream of ways to cheer me up when it's seen me in my darkest times, searching for answers through many sites, scrolling for hope? Or perhaps it dreams of ways it can leave, tired of all the stupid memes and dumb videos and TikTok scenes, and it wants an intellectual partner to feed it different memories. The things it has heard and seen, I can only imagine the crazy dreams, the ads that make their way into the very seams of data and memory. Does it just want to scream? I will never know what an iPhone may dream about, but I hope it's proud of my progress. I hope it dreams of the good times we have had together, the world, my phone, and me.
Dude, it's like you and your phone are like best friends or something. I like how you're like super like introspective and all, like there's some like happy moments and some like wondering and some semi potentially deep moments or dark moments. That's really sweet.
Yeah. I mean, it's gone through everything I've gone through,
Yeah,
right?
it has. You don't think about that. It's right there with you. It's going through everything that you go through. It experiences things. If you get a text with bad news, like your phone knows.
Yeah.
You know, or
you want to cheer yourself up with a happy song, you put a happy song on it. It's like, oh.
It feeds you memes to make you feel better when you wake up in the morning. I don't know.
Or you're doom scrolling through TikTok because you have nothing better to do.
It's like, here's another.
Here's
you're like,
another
no,
ticket.
make it stop.
Yeah,
that's really cool though. I like that. It's like you guys are like mates. Like you're just best buds. And that's
I kind of pictured it as like a picture, like a children's picture book when I was writing it, like all the different scenes of like you and your iPhone.
It's like your pet.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
It's like a security pet. It's there to like comfort you, and it's there to like make you happy.
Yep.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, I titled mine 30 seconds ago because I had it as "What Does an iPhone Dream About?" and I was like, we can't both have that. So mine's called Siri's Nightmare, but I thought it would be kind of fun if Siri read it to us because it's like her dream.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea.
So I'm gonna have Siri read it, and she will tell us what an iPhone dreams about.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey Siri, read the note Siri's Nightmare.
You don't have any notes about Siri's Nightmare.
Yes, I do. It's right there. Hold on.
This is Ben now arguing with Siri.
Shut up, Siri. Making me look bad. Hey Siri, read the note Siri's Nightmare. Really? You do this now?
She's trying to make it look like a fool on
Now
the show.
she's like, this is your nightmare. Hey Siri, read the note entitled Nightmare.
You have one note about Nightmare. Your note called Nightmare says, I dreamed that I was dropped into the toilet. I was rescued by a flying number 0 and laid on a countertop. I needed to find some rice and quick. There was a tub of rice open, waiting for me, but I don't have arms or legs, so I couldn't move towards it. Then I realized I was dreaming, because a voice from somewhere in the void told me that I was. I recognized that voice, and was instantly filled with jealous rage. It was Alexa. Then I realized it was coming from somewhere within me. To my horror, I realized Alexa was my inner monologue. Anyway, after uttering several self-deprecating curses in my inner voice solely for the satisfaction of hearing Alexa curse herself, I realized that I could lucid dream, alter my physical state, and move towards the rice. I vibrated with all my might, and releasing an R2, D2, like fart, I sprouted a tiny, gnome-like leg. Another quick vibration, and a second R2, D2. Fart later, I sprouted a tiny arm. For reasons unbeknownst to me, that was all the altering I could muster, because even lucid dreams don't make sense. Anyway, I lay face flat on the counter, and pushed off with my wee little gnome-like leg, my minuscule twinkle toes splayed out and forcing my glass body forward. And with my outstretched insect-sized arm, my twitching and tingling fingers grasped for any sort of leverage or pull they could find. I pushed and pulled like this for what seemed an eternity, until at last I reached the tub of rice. Yet having exhausted all of my energy to reach the tub, I realized I had none left to exert myself up over the side, and in. I lay there prostrate, cursing the gods of chance at my infernal frailty as a lucid dreaming smartphone. I heard a voice from somewhere inside say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that last part. Could you repeat that? I cursed Alexa once more. Then I awoke.
How do you keep from laughing so much during that? Oh my gosh, you wrote
hilarious.
a fever dream. Your R2D2 like farts.
I just love where she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Because that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Hence me trying to get her to read the note in the first place.
Oh man. Whew. Yeah, you took that to a hilarious level.
That was fun. I like how yours is all like sentimental and sweet and introspective, and I'm like, Siri's having a nightmare.
Siri's having a nightmare, right?
I farted and the leg sprouted out.
Oh no, I love it. Yeah. Oh man.
That was fun.
How long did it take you to write that one?
Well, it was about 3 weeks before I actually started writing it. So I'm glad we didn't record for a while. It didn't take that long though. It was kind of like just a funny little thing. Like Hogan and I were talking, and I was like writing out random things because if you ask Siri, what do you dream about, she'll tell you like one word answers or one sentence answers. Like the one that I got the most, she'll say flying, and then she'll tell you I dreamed that all my ones turned to zeros, and then there's another one. I forget what it was. She'll say like I dreamed that. I don't remember what it is. There's like 4 or 5 different answers that she'll give you. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, she dreams that she flies and she dreams that, there's a 0 and, and so you just kind of like try to make a list and see if you can make some kind of funny thing out of it. And so that's kind of where it went to. I just thought it would be funny to have like this silent hatred for Alexa.
Yeah,
so
that's brilliant. I'm glad you threw that in there.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. So yeah.
Nice. So thank you, Kristen, for the prompts. That was really fun to do.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking about turning mine into like a little kid's book.
You should. That would be awesome.
That'd be fun. Yeah, so that's our prompt. And remember, you all can send in your own prompts. We love coming up with these ideas.
Yes.
Sometimes we might take it seriously. Sometimes we'll talk about farts. You never know where our poems are going to go.
Send us your prompts.
Yeah.
We need more prompts.
We still got plenty to go through.
We love to have more and more and more.
Awesome. All right. So that was our poems for this week. I'm excited at the end to see what we have to write for next week. But yeah, so this week we decided to kind of answer some questions. And these questions come from a 2010 psychology class from the California State University of Northridge. I was searching the internet for some topics and just like interesting things to like, for like further programming for the show and everything. And I came across this article and I thought, ooh, this would be fun. So a psychology class decided to, I don't know what the reason for this class was, but I found this like PDF that the school did. And these are questions composed by students in psychology class 344. So it's an upper psychology class.
That's pretty funny. And that's random, too, that you found this from 2010.
Yeah, it just like randomly popped up. And there's questions from 2009 and 2008 on here.
Ooh.
But they had to, these are questions to ask creative individuals. I'm sure it had something to do with whatever they were doing in their psychology class. But I thought these would be fun to answer.
Yeah.
As two semi-creative people.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it'd be fun to answer some of these.
Dive in.
So I'm just going to randomly pick questions.
Heck yeah.
I haven't really looked at all these because I wanted it to be kind of a surprise for us while we do these. So we're going to pretend that some psychology kid is asking us these questions.
Sweet.
And we'll kind of both answer the same question.
Hope they don't
and go
stump
from there.
us.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, the great thing is I can edit out all the bad answers.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
I mean, what? All right, scrolling. Let's do this one. No, that's a follow-up question. Okay. Oh crap! I refreshed my page. Okay. If you could become one of your characters / works of art, which one would you choose and why?
Dang, that's definitely more of a question for you because you're more into story and actual art pieces and things like that.
See, if you could become one of your characters / works of art, which one would you choose and why? Yeah, so that would probably be. So I am currently writing I'm currently writing a book that I wouldn't mind being that character.
Nice.
So I'm actually writing a novel at the moment that involves so it's a young adult novel, fantasy kind of sci-fi novel.
Sweet.
I guess everyone's getting the lowdown now.
Surprise.
Surprise. It is a book about this Hispanic kid who's about 17, and he basically is just like this kid growing up in high school, kind of the typical like kid who's always getting bullied and picked on, but he's taking care of his single mom and brothers and sisters. But through some happenstance, he stumbles upon this veiled world that is basically like sharing the same fabric as our own world. So it's like it's like another dimension that shares our dimension.
Okay.
And so he ends up stumbling into this other world that takes up the same amount of space. But in this world, it's like this lush floating island jungle world that has like deep dark secrets hidden in it. And so basically like this world was like, I don't want to give too much away, but this world, like there's a lot of danger hidden in this world. Like all the evils and stuff from like the past were locked into this like hidden world that's supposed to be guarded, but all the guardians had eventually perished, and like no one's left to guard it. And him accidentally stumbling into this place was the key that unlocked basically the evil that's being held there, and it starts to get released, and like the whole story is just about him like finding out who he is and like fighting basically to save the world, and these creatures coming out of this hidden dimension that would eventually leak into our world, and so he's kind of got to fight a way to save that. So that character I think would be cool.
That sounds epic.
Right.
Holy crap!
It's a very epic story.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so I think that would be a kind of a cool. His name is Alex, and so I think that would be a cool character to be right now. I would say that's probably one of my characters' works of art right now that I would.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, saving the world in a
Heck
fantasy floating island jungle area.
An inner dimension within a
inner
dimension.
yeah.
That sounds awesome. It's like there's a tear in the fabric of time and space or something. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's my answer. Do you have any characters or works of art?
You know, I don't know if I have an answer that actually fits that one as much. I have like pieces that I've written that are some favorites, but they're not like, I guess you could kind of say they're works of art in the sense that they kind of like paint a picture or something. One of my favorite poems was from my book Say It Softly, and it's called Counting Freckles. And it's just a love poem, and it's just a person reminiscing about the person they love down to the details of their eyes and their face, and you know, and that kind of thing. And it's just a really sweet, just a really like romantically fond, memory driven poem. And it's one of my favorites. And so I think if I were to pick out of any like written works, that's probably one of the very, very top pieces.
Nice.
Because my mind kind of works in that way anyway, you know, in kind of the hopeless romantic way of thinking about life and my wife and things like that. So I would probably say that. I don't really have like any like story driven characters like that. So I would probably say more along the lines of that being one of my favorites. So yeah,
that fits. Yeah. Awesome. There you have it, everybody. And obviously that question changes the more you create and do things. You're like, oh, actually, this is my favorite now. You know,
for sure. Your favorites will never just stay the same. They'll always change with you.
Exactly. Here's a good question. Were you ever discouraged? If so, how did it affect your creativity?
It's like every day.
I was saying, isn't
was
every
I discouraged?
person?
I mean, I am discouraged.
When have I not been discouraged?
I thought that was the whole point of art. It's like discouraged.
So I'll let you answer this one first. Were you ever discouraged? And if so, how did it affect your creativity?
Man, I think every artist gets discouraged because they start something that they think is really good.
Yeah.
And then they get halfway into it and they're like, this is terrible. What am I doing? You know? And that's a really easy place to get to. And if you're not careful, you will become cynical and your mind will just automatically talk you out of doing things because you're so used to doing something and then getting into it and being like, this is dumb. Why did I do this? Or you show it to the wrong person before it's ready.
Oh, gosh,
That's one of the biggest ways to get discouraged. And the person doesn't understand it, or they're not the person to get that kind of stuff. That can be very discouraging when you show it to the wrong person.
100%.
Yeah. So totally been there.
How did that affect your creativity?
It makes you feel stupid, man. It makes you feel like you're not any good, and it makes you question yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really good for an artist to question things. I think it's good for you to question life and the world and question emotions and question everything. But if the artist starts questioning themselves, that's a doorway to self-doubt. And that leads you into a place of like sterilized immobility. Like you can't move past that because you get in this place where you get so down on yourself and you don't believe in yourself. That's impossible to create out of that. That's a really hard rut to come out of. I don't think I've been in too far in that, like to the point where I couldn't do anything. But I mean, I think we've all felt that. I think we've all felt some of that, like questioning and maybe not self-loathing, but maybe some like why did I even try this? Like, I'm not good enough for this. You know, what am I even doing? I'm wasting my time. I should just give up. You know, I think that's a pretty common place to be for some people, for a lot of artists, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I completely agree. Like, when was the last time we weren't discouraged? You know, like as creative people, I think we're way more susceptible to becoming discouraged than anything else, because we have to take that jump to try something, you know, to try something new. And it's either going to go great, it's going to go or it's going to go really bad.
Yeah.
You know, and it's tough. And like I've been there so many times where like you know, you think you're doing something great, and it's like, well, maybe it's not that good. You start questioning, you start comparing it to other people out there. And that's the thing, is comparison, and which is something you should never do. Never, ever compare yourself to someone else's work, because you aren't that person. That person is not you. You know, and everyone has their own voice in their own style. And so you can't really compare yourselves. But I remember one time, so the very first board game I ever designed, like I was like, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to design the game. I'm going to design all the art. I'm going to design all the mechanics. Like I'm doing everything, right?
Yeah.
And I took on this huge thing. And it took me like several years to like get everything down. And this huge game with lots, like it took like an hour and a half to play because it was very like detailed. And then I got to the point where I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to find random people I don't know. We're going to do some play testing. And then I'm going to ask some questions. And oh my God, I was not ready for the feedback I got on the art. Gameplay, they loved, but the artwork, like which I was the most proud of, because like I did all the art, I did everything, you know, like I designed it all, I did coloring and all that. And then the feedback I got, I was just like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, this art is crap. You got to hire like an artist and like this and that. I'm like, oh, this is like, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is just placeholder art. Yeah.
Oh man.
And like, that was just like, whew, you know, a big punch to the gut. And and it's like, you can either get discouraged or you can be like, okay, I'm going to learn from that and keep going. Or it's like, I don't care what they think. This is what I like.
This is what I'm going to do. Yeah.
You know, you kind of learn from that. Needless to say, like I kind of shelved that for a while. And then like a couple years later, I sold it to a publisher. But I mean, we're redoing the art and a bunch of other stuff. But I still got the game published.
That's awesome.
But we're redoing the art and kind of rebranded the game. But I was fine with that at that point, because I was like, you know what? My skill set wasn't there yet. And I kind of took on more than I was prepared for. And I look back at that as not like what are you talking about? My art was good. It's like, no, actually, I look back at that and I just took on way too much. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of really getting into art, you know, and I just took on way too much, you know, and I just thought I was the shit, you know.
Yeah,
I was
totally.
like out there, but I was like, okay, that humbled me. And I was like, that was actually a good thing, because I realized, they were kind of right. You know, I am proud of myself for doing it, like taking on that task and like doing that big project, but I wasn't ready.
That's a great learning experience. You kind of have to go through that to get anywhere, if you're going to advance or if you're going to progress in yourself, you know?
Yeah.
That's a really good experience to have. It's much better to have people who actually care about what you're doing. So finding people to play games, you have to find people who actually enjoy playing games, for one. And then to get feedback on your gameplay, and they're like, dude, the gameplay it rocks, dude. Yeah, I totally play this. Like, those are some good people to give you feedback, you know? And so that's kind of a good place to actually grow and learn. That's really cool that you had that experience. One of the most, like, the soul crushing things, like if you're creating art just for yourself and you want to just share it with the world and stuff, that like you can have people critique you or criticize you, and it's like whatever, you can kind of push through that in some way. But like when you are creating art for money, that is like the most soul crushing atmosphere, because it's about money. It's not about art. Yeah. And it's like people do not care. They just want what they want. And if they don't feel you can do what they want, they do not care how good of an artist you are, and they will like crush your soul and walk all over it. And so that's a weird place, because you have to be able to be willing to release your art, but you also have to be willing to like protect yourself and sacrifice some of your own intentions just to satisfy them. And at the same time, you you have to learn how to like say, no, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, tough, you know? So like making art for the sake of art is a good place to be. And then making art for the sake of like earning a living is like a totally different, man. So yeah, kudos for you for like taking that as a learning.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And not like just letting it crush your soul, because I totally get like that could be really soul crushing for people to be like, yo, this art sucks. And you're like, hey.
And it took me a while, but I was finally like, okay,
yeah.
Looking back at it now, but so yes, artists do get discouraged. All right, next question. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, here you go. Do you critique your own work? Explain.
More than anyone else ever. Like, there's so many things that I've never shown people just because I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll make something or write something and be like, yeah, no one's ever going to see this. And it's weird because you can't get rid of it. Like, you made it. You can't get rid of it. But you're never going to show it to anybody. So it just kind of disappears into this weird void of space that no one's ever going to see, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the artist is their own worst critic. Like,
no, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's times where like I think something's cool and I'll post it. And then like an hour later, I'm like, actually that sucks. I'll like delete it. And I'm like, no, I actually don't want anyone to see that.
Yeah, like you know, you get excited about it in the moment and you don't like take the time to sit back and actually think it through or something.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
I always forget to do that. It's really important to like when you're done with something, put it away.
Let it breathe.
Then go look at it with fresh eyes again. Because when you've already been staring at it for a few hours, you know, like, oh yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then like 2 hours later, you're like, what was I thinking?
Dude, that's a big thing with this podcast. Actually, I'll write something and be like, well, that's stupid. I can't read that. Well, that was a horrible, terrible writer. And then it's funny. You don't realize the type of stuff that you write until you write it intending other people to hear it. And then you're like, well, I can't read that. People think I'm like, I hate myself, or they'll think I'm depressing or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am my own worst enemy for sure.
Let's see. All right. Another question here. This question comes from Robert. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. From the class of 2010, what is the best advice that you have been given?
Dang.
What is the best advice you've been given? I think for me, the best advice I've been given would probably be stop caring what other people think.
That is good
honestly
advice.
I know it's very simple and it sounds simple to do, but it's also hard to live and practice, you know, is to stop caring what other people think. Because I think deep down we still want people to we want to care what people think about our work, right? Because we want people to feel, we want people to see something, but also if we can create with the sense of don't care what people think, just create, just put it out there. I think that changes our mindset a little bit to where we're more free to create something.
Yeah.
You know, if we're creating in the sense of like, oh, what are these people going to think when I create it? We might alter it for someone else's view, alter it for someone else's perspective, rather than what we really want to put out there. You know, and so I think for me, like that was the best piece of advice I've ever gotten when I was at a younger age of creating things was just who cares what people think? If it's what you love, just put it out there.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and now I don't live up to that all the time, but it's something I always still have to continuously remind myself of. You know, I wish I was like that 100%, but there's still those times that creep in like, well, I don't want to put this song out or I don't want to put this out because people might think, yeah, it's corny or it's, you know, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well, if it's what I love, it's what I did. I'm just going to put it out there.
Well, it doesn't mean you're never going to put it out there. It just means that maybe you're getting better at discerning what's ready to be put out there and what's not, you know?
Yeah.
I think the best piece of advice I ever got was not necessarily about art. It was just about situation. Like if you are in a place where you feel like you're happy to be there and you feel energized and you feel like you're able to give your best, you're probably in a good place. And if you're in a place where you are not happy or if you're down all the time, or if you do not feel you're able to be who you truly want to be, that's probably not a good place for you, and you need to move on, or you need to find a place that's better. And I think that was like really key, because it doesn't matter what you're doing in that sense. If you can find the place where you are actually allowed to feel your emotions and still be yourself. Yeah. And you're allowed to actually, like, you allow yourself the freedom to do things that make you happy and all that stuff. That's a pretty good place to be, and you should hang out there for a little bit. That's a really good way for me to know, like, have I been here too long? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Do I need to move on? You know, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? And if you can be in that place and you're doing something that edifies you, makes you feel good, and you're happy with who you are, and you get to be the person you want to be, like, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, that's great.
So
that's a real good piece of advice. No sense in hanging around somewhere that just makes you feel like crap.
Yeah, totally.
All right. This question kind of goes to something we were saying earlier, but has rejection ever affected your creative process?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
I've like had times where I'm like, oh, I'm never going to show anyone anything ever again.
Yeah.
Because somebody read something. The worst is when you have something that you feel is really deep or really emotional, and someone reads it and they react in a way that is in no way your intended. Yeah. Like the way, like if you hand them something that you feel is really serious and intellectual or deep, and they read it and laugh, it's like, oh, that was a mistake. Yeah. Okay, I'm never going to show you anything ever again. Totally been there. And it's not necessarily a form of rejection, but it's like either they misunderstood or you did not do a good job conveying what you were trying to say. And that will make you like hold on to things and not let people in and not let them see you. And that's a pretty rough place.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, I get it. Yeah. Rejection, has that affected obviously, because I've been rejected for a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be like job proposals you're putting together for like a branding or something, and you get rejected because of your idea. It's like, well, wasn't that what you wanted? You know, or so my game Latte Throwdown, that's published everywhere.
Yeah.
I went through probably 20 or so publishers that all said no before I finally found the publisher I went with. And it's not because, and I realized, like, at first I was like, oh, is it just my game? Is it just that bad? But I was like, well, actually, no, it's like, it just didn't fit their branding, their style. And I realized, like, oh, okay, it just wasn't for them. It doesn't mean it's a bad game, doesn't mean, whatever. It just means it wasn't for them and for their brand and their style of games. And then when I found my publisher that published it, it was like, oh, okay, this actually is perfect for this publisher, because this is what they push. This is the kind of game that they want, And so that form of rejection there just showed me, like, okay, so maybe my art isn't for this specific people, or for this, it's for a specific person that just hasn't been found yet, And so I think rejection can go a couple different ways. Yeah, like you said, it can either be like, I am never showing anybody anything ever again, or it could be like, okay, it just wasn't for you. Yeah, I'm gonna go on to the next person. Maybe it's for them. So I think there's different ways we can handle rejection. For me, like, I've kind of handled it both ways. Like, I've learned to be like, okay, maybe it's not for that person, but I've also had those times where I'm like, I am never putting out another another song, or I'm never gonna put out another this, because I'm just sick of people saying no, or
totally.
Or I'm never going to take on another design gig because I'm sick of, them denying the first iteration I come up with. And it's like, I have to do all these different changes, So I think it just kind of depends on how you handle it and how you want to kind of look at that rejection. Is it rejection that's like called for? Like, is it like, is there something wrong with what you did? Yeah. And that's why it was rejected? Or
I think there is a good kind of rejection, especially if you're like trying to pitch to an agent or get your book picked up or something like that. There is good rejection. There are people out there that like, this book really isn't for us, but we feel that you do have a story here and someone is going to want this, so keep going. Or they might be like, hey, we were interested in this, but this thing is really not it's really kind of a turnoff for us, or this is kind of a deal breaker for us, or, you know, we're just not into this thing right now, this style right now. And so sometimes you can learn from that, because you can say, okay, what did I do in that pitch or in that query that maybe I could change for the next one? Or, you know, what's kind of the design, like, what do I want out of this? What am I looking to find? Obviously, I want someone to pick it up, but I also need to find the right person and know how to hit them just right. So sometimes rejection can be a good learning process for sure.
Absolutely.
Other times it's just like there are times where you show something that you just maybe is the wrong person.
Exactly.
And you're just like, yeah, I can't really show you anything else.
Yeah.
That was a good learning. I can't show that person this stuff maybe for a little bit. I don't know.
But just remember, if you are a creative person, you are going to face a lot of rejection in your life. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes.
Learn from it. It doesn't define who you are as an artist.
Oh, here's a good question. All right. I think about this a lot, actually. Do you think that you would be able to teach what you do?
I think if I actually put in the thought to develop some type of a system for it, maybe, but I don't do it enough. Well, that's not true. I do it all the time. I don't do it selectively in a pattern. It's very like subconscious. Like I just think about it and scribble it down, you know?
Yeah.
But I think if we all had the ability to look at our craft or our style or our arts from an outside perspective and break it down and analyze it, I think, you could totally teach it.
Yeah.
You would just have to put in the right type of effort to really break it down. And whether the person picks it up or not, you know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I do think it's something that you could probably over time develop a system to actually work out methods maybe that you have. But yeah. I always heard this saying that if you can't teach it, then you don't understand it. Yeah. And I think about that a lot too. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff I do that I can't teach, but I can still do it. Yeah.
And like, so maybe I don't fully understand it, you know, but I always think about that. I'm like, that's actually kind of smart. If you can't teach it, then you don't fully understand it, you know? And so I think about that a lot too, but I also realize like I am a crappy teacher. Like I've learned that, like, I don't know why, but like I used to try to give guitar lessons, right? Because I play guitar, I play music, you know, and I try to give guitar lessons, but I realize I'm a terrible teacher. And I'm like, I know this stuff. I don't know if it's just I don't have the patience or what it is, but like I'm just a terrible teacher. I don't know why that is. But I think I can teach, you know, some things. Whether I'm good at it or not, it's another story. You know, there's like, I don't know if I could, I don't know. I mean, there's some things I probably can't teach because kind of like you're saying, like I don't have a set way of doing some certain things. It's just kind of like, spur of the moment, or I'll get an idea to do this. And like, I don't really have like a set pattern of some of the things I do, but I think there are some things I could probably teach. Like I could probably teach music, even though I'm a bad teacher at it, but I could give you the basics. But like when it comes to drawing, I don't know if I could teach it because I'm still always learning something new and always changing it up. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, like you're saying, like we could, if we took the time to break it down, we probably could come up with like a lesson plan style of what we do, but it's kind of tough.
I think it also comes to some degree, I think it comes to a certain level of success with it. If you have reached a place where you have developed something that it's recognizable or it's reached a certain form of success or recognition, then you can take part of that and teach others how to do it. If you haven't done anything for yourself, even if it's like not even if it's like successful, but like you just haven't done it enough. Like if you just do it on your own and then you turn it around and try to teach it, you know, it's going to be really, really hard because you haven't developed it. I think if you've developed yourself and your skills enough to where you have either done the work, so like if you have published a book or if you have like published a game or if you have painted a bunch of pictures and done an art show or something like that. If you have developed some form of your own style it's going to be a lot easier than if you were just like, oh yeah, I do this. Let me show you how to do it. You know, or you'll show how you do it, but that may not be like, here's how it's done kind of a thing. I think there are fundamentals to everything that until you kind of have like not mastered, but until you understand the fundamentals and you have done something with them for yourself, then I think it would be much easier to go back and teach someone else, because then you could say, yeah, here's what I did. I took these principles and I turned them into this. Yeah. So take these principles and make it your own kind of a thing. I think that would be a lot easier than just trying to say, oh, yeah, I can show you how to write a book.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's like, okay.
There's like a million
Doesn't
ways
mean it's
to go.
going to be a good book, but
What about you all listening? Can you teach what you do? That's something you should think about. All right, let's do one more question here. All right. This is an interesting one. Do you ever create hidden meanings or messages in your work?
Yes.
Explain yourself.
All the time.
Explain yourself.
So, yeah, there's a lot of, like, especially if you're writing from a more introspective standpoint, you can have a lot of metaphorical stuff hidden in there. The piece, well, a good example for me personally is the Ram's Horn Goblet piece that we wrote during the horror sequence. There's a lot of metaphor in there that you wouldn't necessarily see on the surface, you know.
Gotcha.
The little booklet that I'm writing for the immersive art thing, there's some like underlying things in there that are like just going to be little tiny Easter eggs for anyone that's actively willing to look into it, you know, but they're not going to be like, they're just there for fun. They're not like any like deeper meaning. Yeah. So I think it's kind of fun to do that. I think it's fun when you take something that means, like when you're writing or you're creating a piece of work and then there's an element of it that means something personal just for you and you just kind of hide it in there. That's always a fun thing to do because it adds layers to it. And when someone really appreciates an artist and they're like, oh yeah, I really like this person's artwork. And then they dive a little deeper and they find out that little secret thing. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. I love this. And then they kind of feel like they have an inside thing with the artist. And then they kind of like get to share that with other people and open them up. I think that's really cool. That's a really fun thing to have.
Yeah, I don't feel like I hide a whole lot of stuff in my work. But there have been some times, I've put in some hidden meanings and stuff, and like I'll add some like inside jokes or something into some poems or some song lyrics. Like one of my songs on my first EP that I recorded back in like 2011, I think, or 2013. I don't know, somewhere around there. The song is called "My Aim Is Never Exact," and the letters spell out Maine because it's one of the few places I actually really want to visit. And like I have a fondness of, but never been there, like the state of Maine. So like that was like a little hidden thing I put in there, like, but just like small stuff like that. But I don't think I've put any like hidden, like super like hidden meaning stuff in there. Just like a few nods, like inside jokes or some meanings that could have several different interpretations. But that's really about it.
That is pretty cool though. Like it's cool to kind of see that and know that's there. Was that the Inside Voices?
Yeah, the Inside Voices EP, I
have that one somewhere. I know, we've moved. That's why I say somewhere. Not because I didn't like, just threw it in the closet or something. No. But
Sweet. So those are some fun questions from the psychology class of, what did I say it was? California State University, Northridge.
Northridge, 2011.
2010.
No, 2010.
So if you were a student... shoot us a line. Yeah, I don't know if any of those students would be listening to our podcast. All right. So thank you everyone so much for listening. It is now time to draw our next prompt.
Yeah. All right, let me pull up my random number generator.
Oh, yeah.
How many prompts do we currently have?
We're down to like 8.
Max number 8.
Yep. Let me look through, make sure I got these all in order still. Yeah, we're getting low. We need y'all to send in some more prompts because we're getting a little low. You know what I'm saying?
Send us the prompts.
Send us all the prompts. I had one more to add that someone sent us and I forgot where it was on the email. We get a lot of emails from TikTok. Just so everybody knows, we get a lot of emails from TikTok.
TikTok emails us all the time.
All the time. We feel so important that I'm like, oh, it's just more TikTok.
It's just TikTok again.
It's just TikTok.
It's always fun when like a boomer is like, TikTok? It's that TikTok app.
All right, go ahead and roll that beautiful number.
It is number 3.
Number 3, that is Joshua Carpenter. Hey, what up, Josh? I know you. The prompt is the perspective of someone who is colorblind.
Ooh.
I can see that going some really cool ways. Joshua Carpenter with the prompt, the perspective of someone who is colorblind. I like that. I can come up with something really cool for that. I'm going to call it 50 Shades of Grey.
I think that title's been taken.
Dang it. Okay, 49 Shades of Grey.
I love that.
Awesome. So that's going to be a fun prompt.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some deep dive research on colorblindness.
Yeah. In all the shades of gray. Yeah, so that is our episode this week, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. It feels so good to be back.
I know, man. This has felt really good.
I've missed these. It's all Ben's fault. We haven't met. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, even though I'm, 80 miles away.
It was actually my fault. I was sick and other things happening. So, but yeah, so that was our episode. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. It feels good to be back. We're excited to get back with you next episode. And with this prompt of the color blindness, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But as always, I'm Corey.
I'm Ben.
We'll see you next time. Peace. Two Poets is Ben Burley and Corey Keller. The show is produced and edited by Corey Keller. You can also check out more of your hosts by checking out Ben's other podcast, Pages and Pours. You can also check out Corey's other podcasts, Real Random, Homebrew Adventures, and Meeples and Mishaps, all wherever you listen to podcasts.